Let's continue with this conversation, though, around ATNS. I'm joined by Guy Leitch, publisher as well as editor of SA Flyer magazine. Guy, thank you so much for the time. Let's talk about the significance of ATNS. Anybody who doesn't know what exactly ATNS does, what is their aim here and why do they matter so much?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, and nice to be with you and your listeners. Well, ATNS is one of the absolute key cogs in the entire airline transport network. Not just airline, but in fact, the entire aviation transport network. What ATNS does is it provides air traffic navigation services, hence the abbreviation. And that means in broad language, it provides air traffic control. But it provides a lot more than just air traffic control to aircraft. It also provides a whole lot of procedures which are required for the aircraft to be able to navigate safely in bad weather. So, for instance, to be able to land and or take off in bad weather. So the procedures are really what is the heart of the problem at this stage. And it's the lack of their ability to keep the procedures valid, which has caused the current spate of problems.
Yeah, and those problems then just ultimately leave us in a place where the report then came out last year signifying that there may even be a dereliction of duties by the CEO, leaving it in what looks like a now vulnerable state. How easy is it ultimately to fix the situation at ATNS, do you think? Or is this going to be another one of those difficult situations in which we're struggling to find the right people hindering South Africa's airline industry?
The airline transport industry is so fundamentally important to South Africa's economic engine that it is absolutely essential that these things be fixed immediately. I mean, imagine if the SABC, for argument's sake, just happened to be broken and they weren't able to get it fixed. It's not okay that they've taken 9 months so far since the procedures were first cancelled by the Civil Aviation Authority. And even that number is not accurate. Actually, these procedures had 5 years to be surveyed. So a simple timetable would have told ATNS management when these procedures have to be renewed. They were grossly negligent in not having done so. Their excuse, although they haven't articulated it as such, is that they didn't have the manpower to do so. But when you don't have the manpower because you haven't been able to retain the staff, well, then you go out and you get the necessary manpower. There are many consultants out there available. There are many retired professionals from ATNS who would be available to go out and sort these problems out. And let me just point out that ATNS is tending to spin this whole thing as an issue of simple maintenance of these procedures. That couldn't be further from the truth. This is actually a safety issue. These are procedures that needed to be surveyed for ICAO standards, which is the international aviation standards. And if aircraft are not able to use them because they haven't been keeping them up to date, well, then there's a significant additional safety risk involved as well.
Yeah, but one wonders then that, is it then just the CEO's fault? Does it not go deeper than just, I mean, I understand that the buck probably stops with the CEO as well, but there's so many people ultimately involved in this, including the Minister of Transport herself, possibly. Am I correct?
Yes, I think that statement is fair. Obviously, it's never just the CEO's fault, but you're also 100% correct to say that the buck stops with Ms. Ndawe as the CEO. And indeed, she was not an acting CEO. She had been formally, permanently appointed to the job. She had plenty of time and opportunity to address the shortcomings in her own organization. And quite frankly, I think that we can't ignore the fact that the culture of the organization has become toxic. And that is that the best skills and talent are simply leaving. They're simply taking their hats and coats and heading out the door because it's very unpleasant to work there. This is from all accounts. And so people are choosing to rather immigrate. They would rather take their very valuable skills and go and work in the Middle East or in Australia, which has also absorbed a lot of our air traffic navigation services controllers and procedure planners and senior managers. So what we've seen, and this was well reported a few months ago, was a large element of, dare I say, cronyism creeping into the appointments, where as people leave, so cronies are appointed into the same positions, into the vacuum that is created by the people having been left. And so the organization rapidly enters into a downward spiral.
Yeah, from here, it seems like then you're saying that we're ultimately going to have to pay a premium in order to have the right kind of people as well at this entity, something we can ill afford at this stage.
Well, we can't afford not to either. Yes, by the time it becomes a crisis, there's always a premium and a significant premium involved in trying to sort out the mess rather than having prevented the mess in the first place. But the fact of the matter is that IATA, the International Air Transport Association, has calculated that the benefits of aviation mean that for every dollar spent on an air ticket, an additional $30 of economic activity are created in the broader economy. So if airline flights have been grounded or been halted or been cancelled, the knock-on effects to the economy is huge. That's why we can't just look at the immediate cost of having to employ new additional people.
But this can be solved very quickly, right, Guy?
Yeah, not so very quickly, because you've just got to get the people back. Yeah. You've got to entice people to come back into this. And then there's a massive backlog. The Civil Aviation Authority cancelled 326 of the approvals. This is an enormous number of approvals. And it's taking ATNS an incredibly long time, a painfully long time, to get these approvals or these procedures reapproved by the Civil Aviation Authority. Perhaps the CIA has been sticky. Perhaps the people who are doing them now just don't have the necessary expertise in terms of box ticking to make sure that all the necessary compliance details have been completed. So it could have been done a lot quicker,
yeah.
But you've got to get the right people in.
We'll certainly be listening. I believe you will be too, and hopefully we'll get some commentary and some words from you as well shortly after that then. Guy Leitch, publisher as well as editor then at SA Flyer magazine, thank you so much for joining us. Indeed, we are going to be watching, as you can see on the side of your screen there, to the right of your screen, just that press briefing we'll be anticipating then from the Minister of Transport, Barbara Creecy, the suspension then of the CEO of the air traffic navigational system then in South Africa, ATNS. And then, of course, what happens now with that leadership? What happens to the board ultimately entirely? And will it then be refunded? Of course, finances will be a big part of that as well. So we'll certainly catch up with that story for you.